Yo, welcome back to a brand new video here on the second channel. Now, the rest of Ruler of the Black Flame was revealed last night, and these all will be in our new set, Obsidian Flames, which is coming out very soon. I mean, pre-releases are like next weekend, so I'm pretty excited for the release of Obsidian Flames, and we got some new cards revealed, including some new Pokemon, including a new EX and a new Stadium card that I don't think is an Obsidian Flames, but it is going to be a promo card in Japan that if it comes over to our side, it's going to be pretty insane because this new Stadium is kind of ridiculous, I'm not going to lie. But let's take a look at some of these new cards. Before we do, of course, make sure to leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below what you think of these new cards, and make sure to subscribe here to the second channel. If you haven't already subbed yet, click that subscribe button down below. But let's take a look at these new cards that got revealed. Now, the entire set list is here, so I have to scroll down and find these new cards. But I'm pretty sure I'll remember which ones we haven't seen yet. So the first one is Bellawesome. It's got the attack Powerful Dance for 1 grass, does 90 damage. Flip a coin for each energy on this Pokemon, does 90 more damage for each heads. So very similar to like the Colossal from Battle Styles. Nothing too crazy. There's no coin flip reflip card in the format, unfortunately, to maybe make this a lot funner. You can play this with Cherrim as a fun meme deck. There is also the new Vileplume we're getting in this set, so there are some synergies with Bellawesome because we do have the Vileplume. There's another Bellawesome in the format that does hit and run, so it's a cool card. I don't think this Bellawesome is great, but it is cool that it's playable at least. Like, it's not the worst card ever. Again, it could be a fun deck with Cherrim, right? So we'll see. It could be fun to try out, and, you know, it's nice to see Bellawesome get some love, considering Vileplume is, like, the center of attention all the time. We do have this new Trevenant here, which I think is actually really good. Well, not really good, but it's cool. It's got the ability Force Spirit. Now, when I first saw this, I thought this was going to be Orbital VMAX Part 2. Unfortunately, it's not. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, put 1 damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon during Pokemon checkup. So, basically, in between turns, you're putting 1 damage counter on the active. Now, I thought this was like the Flygon from Boundaries Crossed, where it put 1 damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon in between turns, like Trevenant does, except it's only on the active. That's why I thought it was like Orbital, except Orbital you could do it like on your turn and like whenever you want, but still, I thought it was going to be like Orbital again. Unfortunately, it's not. It does have the attack Lockup that traps the opponent in the active spot for 3 colorless energy. I mean, it's not terrible, like it's not the worst card. It does work with like Eradicate, Low Eradicate, and also there's a new Claydol in the set we're going to look at soon that does something that also could synergize with Trevenant. Nothing crazy, though. Again, I wish this was like the Flygon from Boundaries Crossed or the Orbital where you're spreading damage on all the Pokemon. It would have been a lot more cooler if that's what it did. Unfortunately, it just doesn't do enough. If I look at Scovillian, new Ninetales is kind of cool. It's got Ninetale Dance. Put 9 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. During your next turn, this Pokemon cannot attack. So it only puts 9 damage counters on one Pokemon. If it was like 9 damage counters around the board, I mean, that would probably be a little insane, to be honest. Being able to like spread 9 damage would have been nuts. 9 damage counters on a Pokemon is kind of cool, though. This obviously can knock out basic Pokemon like Comfeys, Manaphy, Curly, and get KO'd. The effect where it can't attack isn't that, doesn't matter too much because you can just like play Switch or Escape Rope, or you have a 1 retreat, you just retreat anyways. So it's not like that bad. The attack is kind of cute. Maybe it could see play in like an Armor Rouge deck. There is a Ninetales EX that we are getting too in the Pokemon 151 set. So maybe there's some synergy there, and this could be a one-of with the Ninetales from, like, the Ninetales EX, right? So maybe it could be good at that point, but nothing crazy right away. New Entei has the ability Pressure. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks do 20 less damage. So, effectively, Entei's got, like, 150 HP with the ability, and then its attack Blaze Ball does 50 plus 20 more damage for each fire energy on this Pokemon. So, this could be a one-of in, like, an Armor Rouge deck where, you know, you can use Entei, put it in the active spot. The attack does 110 damage for 3 fire energy, so you're not doing a whole lot of damage. You are 2-shotting stuff, and the ability is kind of cool, but unfortunately, this Entei just doesn't really do enough, unfortunately. It is cool, but it doesn't do enough. New Darmanitan also is kind of mid. Damage counter punch to 60, and this has any damage on it, you do 60 more damage. New Heatmore is also kind of mid. Energy Burn for 2 fires does 30 damage, doing 30 more damage for each energy on your opponent's active Pokemon, so again, nothing too crazy with those fire Pokemon. A lot of mid-fire Pokemon we got there. We do have a new Seismitoad, which I actually quite like. So it does have the ability Quaking Area. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks cost 1 colorless more. So if this is in the active spot, all of a sudden attacks like Trinity Lost Mine, those are going to be costing 1 more energy. Now, you can actually play Seismitoad with the new Stadium card that also makes your opponent's basic Pokemon's attacks cost 1 colorless more. So that's a pretty cool stacking effect. I mean, against Sableye, all of a sudden Lost Mine needs to do 3 energy. So definitely a really cool ability. Keep in mind, Seismitoad does work with that new Stage 2 tool card that gives Stage 2 Pokemon a free retreat, I think. So there is synergy with that. And it does have Echoed Voice, does 120 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Echoed Voice does 100 more damage. So the attack is actually not bad either to kind of compensate with the ability. You can do 120, and then the next turn you're doing 220. So you're doing like 340 in the course of 2 turns. And then every other turn you're doing 220 damage, which is enough to knock out V Pokemon and EXs, so, or basics anyways, right? So that's what I like about it. This actually isn't a bad card. I'm kind of liking it. And again, with the new Balloon Tool card that works with Stage 2s, maybe you could have this as like a free retreat pivot card in that regard. So I kind of like the Seismitoad. I'm glad that it's kind of decent, because Seismitoad has gotten interesting cards in the past, and Pokemon are now continuing that trend here. New Beartic, Frost Perch is 170 damage. Flip a coin of tails, discard all energy from this Pokemon. Nothing crazy, unfortunately. We got this new Cragganol, which is quite interesting. It's got the attack Fast Freeze. For 1 colorless, does 30 damage, and if you go second, and it's your first turn, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So being able to instantly paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon, if you're going second, is kind of cute. Now, I don't know how many scenarios where this will be good in, because a lot of the time you're going to paralyze a basic Pokemon that is going to evolve, like Arceus, evolve, right? Gardevoir, or Ralts in the active spot, evolve. The best thing this probably works against is something like Xianpao, where you can paralyze the Xianpao if it's in the active spot, because a lot of the time the Xianpao won't find a switch right away, because they're going to have to like Irida for Rare Candy Excalibur, unless they have the nuts, right? So could be decent against mostly just Xianpao, and that's it. I can't see many other scenarios where this Cragganol will be good, unfortunately. It's an interesting card, but again, I think it's only going to be useful against Xianpao, because a lot of other decks, again, they'll just evolve out of the paralysis. Against Xianpao, though, it's not bad, because you can paralyze them, buy you a turn, and then the next turn you can get the first 2-prize knockout on the Xianpao that you paralyzed. Looked at Palafin already. Looked at T-Tar. New Electros is kind of cool. Suction Shock for 1 lightning. Switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. Does 60 damage to the new Pokemon, and then you flip a coin of heads. That Pokemon's paralyzed. Again, if there is a reflip card in the format, this could be a decent fun attack to play, because you can bring in like Luminions and other Pokemon to paralyze. But again, without a reflip card, I wouldn't rely on this Electros being that good. New Thundurus is interesting. It's got the ability Bad Weather. As long as it is in the active spot, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon. So, when I first saw this, I thought it was going to be Manaphy, but on a 110 HP basic Pokemon. It's not bench barrier. It's only when it's in the active spot, not on the bench. So, could have been a lot cooler if it was bench barrier part 2, but it isn't. It's nothing too crazy. The ability's like cute, but a lot of the time you're just going to want Manaphy instead, which is infinitely better. And its attack is not great either. 140 damage and 90 to itself. Bro, that's kind of costly. I mean, 140 isn't even that much damage, and you're doing 90 to yourself. That's kind of crazy. I guess you could do Emergency Jelly Thundurus, but this thing's going to get knocked out anyways, bro. It's 110 HP. It's not surviving the turn regardless. New Toxtricity here. We've already looked at, well, we haven't looked at Belly Bolt here. Really cool ability. That's kind of hilarious. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from opponent's lightning Pokemon. So this card can flat out just beat Miraidon. Most of the time, Miraidon has no way to attack this Belly Bolt, which is really hilarious. Like, if you're playing Zorobox, bro, you could just play Belly Bolt and just auto-win the matchup. Like, I'm pretty sure there's, like, Miraidon doesn't have a way to deal with Belly Bolt. I mean, I guess that they play Drapion. Okay, if they have a Drapion V in the deck, that's the only way they can attack you. But if you're playing multiple Belly Bolts, I mean, eventually you'll just kill the Drapion. That's the only Pokemon I can think of that technically can attack Belly Bolt is Drapion V. And I guess if they play a Spiritomb, I don't know. There's no other Pokemon I can think of. Everything else is just not good enough. I mean, yeah, I mean, this could be a pretty funny anti-Miraidon card, because I'm pretty sure Miraidon isn't going to play any Pokemon that's not a lightning Pokemon. Its attack is okay. It does 110 damage, and then it isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active. So if your opponent's trying to do Fly, I guess, in the Miraidon deck to try to stall you, you could just attack it. I don't know. This is a pretty funny card. I don't think it's super competitive. There's not really that many other lightning Pokemon. I mean, I guess like against Lost Box, you stop Raikou from attacking, but you never want to do that. Keep in mind, though, you can play this with Belly Bolt EX. So that's one thing. Like the Ninetales we just looked at. You got to keep in mind, right? These Pokemon that are kind of funny, that evolve, they also have EXs. So you can play this with the EX, which is why EXs are always going to be better than Vs and VMAXs, because it's just cool. You can play this with the Bellybolt EX that we have. Looked at all of these. New Espeon, I think we've looked at. Well, I don't think we have looked at it. It's nothing crazy, though. Does 30 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. I guess that's not bad. 30 plus 10 isn't bad. There's Eradicate that does like 30 plus 30 in Pokemon 151. Now, there is a really cool Lunatone and Solrock here. So the Solrock isn't that good, but the Lunatone is where things get spicy. So it's got New Moon. If you have any Solrock in play, prevent all effects of your opponent's stadiums done to your Pokemon. So if you want to have a way to stop Path of Peak without playing a counter stadium, Lunatone Solrock is actually a legit combo. So this immediately springs to mind to be played within Gardevoir, because you can have Lunatone and Solrock in play against Gardevoir, or with Gardevoir, and Path of Peak does not shut off Gardevoir's ability, so that's kind of spicy. And obviously this can work in other decks that do not like Path, like Mew probably won't play this. I don't know why I said Mew, but I don't know. There's decks out there that wouldn't mind playing the Lunatone Solrock. Now, is it the best Path counter? No, it's probably still better just to play Lost Vacuum and Stadiums and Pumpkaboo, but being able to stop Path of Peak like that is still cute nonetheless. So definitely not a bad combo of cards. I think the Lunatone is kind of cool. I think somebody might play it. Path is a very strong card. It is, I think, in my opinion, the best stadium card in the game right now. And the fact that you can shut it off is good. So we'll have to see how good Lunatone Solrock will be. I don't know if Lunatone stops Collapse Stadium. I don't think it does. I think it stops. There's another stadium. Oh yeah, it stops Gapejaw Bog and Old Cemetery. So, I mean, nothing crazy there. I guess Gapejaw Bog if you're playing against Tinglu, but Tinglu's gonna shut off Lunatone anyway. So I don't know. The big thing is this is like an anti-Path combo. You do have to put 2 Pokemon on your bench to shut Path off, but again, shutting off Path is pretty good, man. A lot of decks need to function, and when Path is in play, they can't do anything. New Claydol. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said New Claydol synergizes with Trevenant. So it's got the attack Kaboom Doll. Put damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 10, and then Claydol takes 120 damage. Claydol will knock itself out, I think. I don't know if there's a way to give it more HP. I can't remember, but you basically put your opponent to 10 HP, much like Eradicate for 1 energy, and then you knock yourself out. You go into Trevenant, and then Trevenant will knock them out, because it'll be in between turns with Trevenant's ability on their active, so you go Claydol, knock itself out, and then you put 1 damage counter on their active with the Trevenant. That's basically the combo. Nothing crazy. Knocking yourself out does give up a prize, keep in mind, so you do this effect, you are going to give up a prize card, so keep in mind. I feel like Eradicate Clodsire is better, but it is cute nonetheless. You can even play Claydol Clodsire if you want. You can go into like a Mimikyu or like a Klefki or something, and then you Clodsire them before you do Claydol. I guess that's the synergy there, but knocking yourself out isn't fantastic. Now, the first new EX we got to look at, well, the only new EX, is Vespiquen EX. Now, it is a Terra Pokemon, meaning that it can't be damaged on the bench, and it does have 2 attacks. The first attack, Recovery Pheromones, so heal 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. Nothing crazy there. And then the big attack, Phantom Queen, does 200 damage for 3 grass energy. Put 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that have any damage counters on them. I kind of like this. I think this attack is decent. 200 damage isn't bad damage output to do. And then, of course, the effect is pretty strong. Now, you do have to play this with a spread card. This is why I was hoping that Trevenant was like Orbeetle, where you put damage on your opponent's Pokemon. So you can play this with Alakazam, you can play this with Hawlucha, try to get damage on your opponent's Pokemon, and then you can start taking multi-prizes. So there can come a point in the game, against Lost Box specifically, where you knock out like a bunch of Comfies at once with Phantom Queen. Not a bad card at all, definitely a playable card. Now, the problem with Vespiquen will be, though, how are you going to build up the attack? Because it is a Psychic Pokemon, so it would work with Gardevoir, but it doesn't require Psychic Energy to attack. So the only thing I can think of is Gardenia's Vigor, right? Or, yeah, that's about it. I mean, if Rillaboom was still in the format, I guess Rillaboom would have been playable. So we'll have to see how this card sees play. There is another Vespiquen that we did get in Paldea Evolved that is 120 if you discard a Combi from your bench. I don't know. It's a cool card. I don't hate Vespiquen. I think it's, like, decent. And if we get, like, a way to build it up a lot quicker, this could actually be a cool attacker, because the effect can knock out a lot of base Pokemon on the bench. So we'll have to see where Vespiquen goes, because it does bypass Manaphy, for the record. This effect does bypass Manaphy. And you stack the attack over and over again, you're going to be able to take multi-KOs at some point in the game. I think we've already looked at... Well, we haven't looked at this Graveyard yet. or Houndstone, sorry. So, struggle to the death, 80 damage. If your opponent's active, if your opponent has exactly 2 or 4 prizes remaining, just 120 more damage. So you do 180 damage, or you do 200 damage, I lied. 200 damage if your opponent has 2 or 4 prizes remaining. And nothing too crazy. I mean, 200 damage isn't bad, but I wouldn't write that off as a good attack. We got a new Bonzi. This is the first Bonzi card we have gotten since 2007, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's been a while since we've had a Bonzi card. It does have the attack Beep Beep Cry, 10 damage. Your opponent is confused. For no energy, I mean, I guess that's kind of cute. It could be funny against, again, Xianpao's like the one deck that comes to mind. I mean, again, 30 HP, right? So, I mean, Sableye says hello. Maybe there's a timeline where this card will be used as like a weird tech card to beat like big, like against Duraludon, for example. It could be kind of funny. We got a new Stunfisk here with Custom Trap. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if it gets knocked out, if this Pokemon at least has a tool on it, you put 5 damage on the attacking Pokemon. So that's kind of cool. If you put a Rocky Helmet on it, you can put 7 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. And again, against Gardevoir, that could be pretty funny. Now, the downside is its attack is kind of mid. Rumble does 3 damage. The defending Pokemon can't retreat. I guess, like, you can boss out, like, a Pokemon like a Lumineon or a Greninja against Gardevoir. Because this card definitely will be best against Gardevoir, obviously, where Gardevoir will potentially... I don't know if it'll knock itself out. I mean, Stunfisk only has 120 HP. I mean, at that point, maybe it's better to play Bravery Charm so that it's, you know, Gardevoir has to extend a little bit more. I don't know. It's a cool card. Nothing too crazy, though. The ability is kind of funny, though. I guess against United Wings, it could be kind of funny. With Rocky Helmet against United Wings. There you go. Anti-United Wings card found out right there. You put 70 damage on their Wattrels, their Murkrows, and their Dittos. Knock them out. Insane card. We broke the meta. New Diggersby with Knocking Hammer does 120. Discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Like, the best thing I can think of this card is Zorobox Reversal Energy. Arcanine is better because you're knocking out bulkier Pokemon weak to fighting, but milling a card, I don't know, could have its merits. New Lycanroc here, Finishing Fang, 90 damage. If your opponent's active has no damage counters on it, before this attack does damage, this attack does nothing. So they gotta have damage on them first. Radiant Alakazam says hello. You can use with Lycanroc EX, keep in mind, right? So we've already looked at the Glamora, obviously. New Clodsire, Venoshock. I think we've looked at this already. It doesn't do anything insane. Just 200 damage if your opponent's active is poisoned. New Umbreon. I think we've looked at this too. Or I don't know if we have looked at the Umbreon. There's nothing special about these cards, though. Like the Espeon Umbreon. Faint Attack does 3 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And, yeah, isn't affected by anything. So nothing crazy. Pitch Black Blade does 140. Yeah, nothing. Kind of just a vanilla card. New Houndoom. 50 damage. If your opponent's active as an evolution, does 70 more damage. I mean... mid, I guess. I guess it attacks Gardevoir. And there is a new Houndoom EX we are getting. So, I don't know. Looked at Absol. New Darkrai. Night Cyclone 120. Move all energy from this Pokemon to your bench Pokemon any way you like. Again, nothing crazy. I guess you can play like Darkrai V-Star to deal with like walls, I guess. I don't know. Nothing crazy. I'm trying to be positive here about some of these like vanilla cards. New Malamar. Now, Malamar's had some interesting cards in the past. Psyvision. Once you're in turn, you may use the ability. Look at the top card of your opponent's deck, and then look at the top card of your deck. So you get to see both top cards. In a control style deck, that's kind of cool because you get to see your opponent's top card. You don't care about your top card as much. So, I mean, the ability's cool in that regard, but those control decks don't really exist right now. So, I mean, maybe this could be good in, like, Arbok EX with Roxanne. You can put your opponent 0 cards with Arbok, and then you, like, Malamar, see their top card, but you have to then play with, like, another mill card. Hypnotic Raid is 90 and then puts your opponent to sleep. The ability is cool. I'm sure we'll see playing a control deck. Maybe an expanded, that could be good. I've already looked at Mawile. New Probopass here. Triple Nose, 40 damage. Flip 3 coins. Does 40 for each head. Iron Buster does 160. Pretty vanilla card. I guess you could play it in Zorobox, once again, with Reversal Energy to knock out Metal Weak Pokemon. New Bisharp here. We've already looked at the King Gambit and Bisharp, I think. We've looked at Reverum. New Altaria has got Sleepy Song for Water to Metal. Does 110 damage. Your opponent's active is now asleep. During Pokemon Checkup, your opponent flips 2 coins instead of 1. If either of them are tails, they stay asleep. That's not terrible. I mean, having your opponent have Snorlax, Thumping Snore for the sleep effect is honestly kind of decent. This card actually might not be too bad within Regidrago V-Star. So this could be kind of cool in Regidrago V-Star, right? You put your opponent to sleep, and if your opponent is down a lot of switch, this could actually be a decent card to play in Regidrago, in my opinion. Because the effect isn't bad at all. Making your opponent go to sleep is nice. You can put them to sleep, they don't attack your Regidrago, and you, like, knock them out the following turn with, like, Rolling Iron for 200, 310 in total, right? So I don't hate it. Like, against Gardevoir EX, like, if you bring in the Gardevoir EX, you put to sleep with the Altaria, they stay asleep, and then you knock them out with Rolling Iron. There's some synergy there. I like the Altaria. This actually could be a decent card to play within Regidrago V-Star. I've looked at Pidgeot already, obviously. Looked at most of these new cards. New Oinkologne, pick and choose, flip through coins, put a number of cards, up number of heads from just compile in your hand. So that's cute. Kind of plays as a control deck, obviously, right? No reflip effect in the format, though. Keep that in mind, right? So that's the problem there. I've looked at that. Patrol Cap's a new card we haven't looked at. So as long as this as long as the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot, cards in your deck can be discarded by effects of your opponent's attacks, abilities, items, and tools and supporters. I mean, it's okay, right? Cards in the deck can't be discarded. I mean, right? Abilities, item, tools, and supporters, right? It's okay. I mean, preventing milling is, like, cool. I guess, like, against Craigalanche, right? That's where this card is going to be pretty funny. I don't think you're going to play this in Lost Box, though. Because all you're really doing, right, is preventing Craigalanche. I guess you can prevent Wugtrio. Yo, they printed a card that beats Wugtrio. There's already a Bibarel in the format that does that. That's crazy. I've looked at these already. We got Rhyme. We've already looked at that, I'm pretty sure. Draw 3 cards, switch out your opponent's active to the bench. Your opponent chooses new active Pokemon. Yeah. I think we've looked at that. I think we've looked at most of those new cards. But we do have a few other new cards here. We got some promo cards to look at here. And there is one really cool card that is kind of broken. So we got a Scovillian EX. I know there's some Scovillian EX stands out there. So I know some of y'all are happy to see Scovillian EX. It's kind of cute. It's got Spicy Bind. Your opponent's have now burned, and then they can't retreat. And then you got Two-Faced Crash for 2 grass energy, does 140. Discard a random card from your opponent's hand, and then discard the top card of their deck. So that's kind of cool. If you can put your opponent's hand down really low, right, you can put their hand down low, and then you can discard it, and then discard a card from their deck. It's a cute effect, right? It's a cute effect. It does hit weakness on Darkrai V-Star and Tyranitar, just to keep that in mind. It's a cool card. It's not the worst promo card we've seen, to be honest. Not the worst promo card we've seen. Now, the big Habuckle is around Moonlight Hill. This stadium card is kind of OP, I'm not going to lie. This is an insane buff to Gardevoir. This, in fact, kind of invalidates Champions Festival. So, once during each player's turn, they may discard a basic Psychic Energy from their hand. If they do, heal 3 damage from each of their Pokemon. I mean, this is a huge buff to Gardevoir. Not only is another way to get energy in the discard pile, it's also a way to heal your Psychic Pokemon. So it allows you to put more energy on a Pokemon with Gardevoir, right? Like, Shining Arcana now can put more energy on it, which is kind of disgusting, to be honest. And not only that, it's a decent counter to Sableye, because you can heal damage that they've done to the bench. And you can combo this with Cresselia against Sableye to, like, really punish them. So I'm not sure Gardevoir needed a buff at all. Like, I think Gardevoir is perfectly broken as is. Like, I think Gardevoir is pretty insane. I don't think it needed the stadium card, bro. Like, why did they have to print this, bro? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Gardevoir did not need this big of a buff. It's pretty silly. Not gonna lie. I don't think Gardevoir needed a buff, to be honest. The deck is already kind of broken. It's a little, honestly, a little too broken, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't know why they printed the stadium. Now, there is a chance this actually doesn't even come into America. Like, a lot of people are saying that this might actually just stay a promo only in Japan. We've seen this before. Japan gets these promo cards that do not come to our side. So I'm hoping that's the case. The problem is, Halucha was a card that was printed like this, like a gym promo, and then we got Halucha, right? So I'm not sold on it. I do hope we don't get this. I just don't think Gardevoir needed a stadium card this good. I don't think Gardevoir needed a buff. I don't think it did. Gardevoir is just a ridiculous deck that I do not think it needed this good of a card. It's pretty silly, to be honest with you. It's really silly. So hopefully we don't get this card, because I do not want Gardevoir to have this big of a buff. I think it's just dumb. New Reverie Room, nothing crazy here. If you have more cards in your hand in your opponent, you can do 80 more damage. It's a metal Pokemon that doesn't need energy, so could be a cool counter to Xianpao. That's about it. So, new Scovillian's kind of cute. The big card that we looked at today was the new Stadium, the Moonlight Hill, the big Gardevoir buff. But there you have. Those are all of the new Rule the Back Flame cards, including a couple of new promos that got revealed alongside, of course, that new Stadium. But yeah, let me know what you think of these new cards down below. What do you think of the Moonlight Hill Stadium? I would be interested to hear what your thoughts are on the Stadium. What do you think of the new Vespiquen EX? Do you have any cool way to build it up? Oh, you know what? Actually, Vespiquen Fortress works. I forgot about Fortress. Yeah. Someone's probably commented already, but yeah, I forgot. Fortress EX works with Vespiquen. There you go. Vespiquen Fortress. New busted deck right there. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. If y'all enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the second channel here if you haven't already. And I'll see you on another video here on the second channel. Bye-bye.